Hello everybody, it's Brad Swift, your eco-author and the founding member of the Loving Homestead, which is what we will be talking about today. I'm going to kind of give a few segments of where we are with the Loving Homestead. And as a reminder, the Loving Homestead is the living experiment as we strive to live consistent with the four great truths that will lead to a regenerative way of life here at the Loving Homestead. And it is an experiment, and as I've learned hard way, is there are no failed experiments because you can always learn something from the experiment. So I'll be sharing both the experiments that went the direction I thought they were going to go and what I learned from those, as well as what I thought was going to go this way and went the other way, but what I learned from that as well. So let's dig in. Okay, we'll start with an overview from our deck. Just kind of point out the area. We've got about a half an acre on which this property or home sits. You'll see here, this is something that was recently kind of updated, and that is the 3-part compost pile itself. You see that we have a good bit of wood both there and down in that area. We do some burning of the wood in our wood stove. This is mostly wood that's been reclaimed after Hurricane Helene. We'll take a look at some of the other plants that are in here, and you'll see this is the driveway to a smaller bungalow apartment that we rent out as well. And one of the things that you may want to start to notice is, and I'm starting to notice more and more, is some of these plants that we have here are not native plants. In fact, many of them are not. Specifically, we have a ton of hostas, which we really have loved our hostas. You can see them over there. And also some Rose of Sharon right there. And you can't see it quite as much. Maybe we'll show it when we get down there. We also have a lot of Creeping Charlie. All three of those are considered invasive plants, and we are really in the very early stages of trying to begin to be more environmentally conscious by adding more and more native plants that will attract more and more native insects, which will also attract more native birds and get a much more ecologically sound part of this. And we'll be hearing more about that in just as we go through these series. Now we're in the, hey Rascal, there's Rascal just being as obedient as he can be. It's not easy for him. You can see again, this is our side yard area. And you can see all the hostas itself. Now we're going to be seeing if we can't compost many of those slowly but surely. You can see we have already taken the stems, I guess you say, of the flowers before they had a chance to go to seed in an effort to cut back on unwanted hostas in the future. And back here, this is our home itself. Quick view of that. And up there is where I was standing just a moment before. And now I'm down here, and you can see a better view of our 3-stage compost pile. So the idea being that it starts, we put the organic material here, including the material from the kitchen. As it composts, it then goes over here to the intermediate area, and then the final area here is where it's turned into a really beautiful, rich soil itself. And one other thing I wanted to show over in this area is just to show an area that I'm going to do a little experimentation that is going to involve mushrooms. So down here, this is a tree. It was a diseased tree, as you can see. You can see the hollow inside area itself. And it still has plants that are parts of the tree that are trying to grow. And we're going to did a little research on this, and I think this might be an area that we can actually grow some mushrooms. So I have ordered the mushrooms for doing this, kind of the the seeds of the mushroom. I'm probably using terrible terms on that, but excuse me if you're a mushroom enthusiast. And we're going to try growing oyster mushrooms in there through that stump itself. More to come on that. And I'm being pulled over to the other side, so hold on there, Rascal. And here again is a large, not as large as it was to start out with, but wood chips. We had a neighbor over that area, you can see kind of his garage area. He had some tree work that had to be done, and I happened to notice that. And I negotiated with the gentlemen who were taking down the tree limbs and all that, and they were chipping them up, so we were able to acquire this great resource at a very, very economical price, and so I'm very appreciative of them being willing to do that, with us. You can see here is our garden area. Overall coming along pretty well. You can see some of the Swiss chard there and collard greens and quite a few things coming along here. One of the things that I'm also in the process of learning what to do with is here in this area. This is a pot of, I inserted 2 sweet potatoes to try to get some sweet potato slips, and they have come along nicely. Now I have to figure out what to do about them, especially in the fact that we're about to move into August, so I may be started that a little bit too late. This is a burn pit that we'll be talking more about, particularly when we talk about the wood char experiment. Excuse me, biochar experiment. Biochar, and here is some of the biochar I've been able to produce. I'll go into much more detail about that. Basically, you can think of biochar as kind of a activated charcoal that can really enrich your soil if you can produce it. I've had a couple of failures at it, but as you can see, some of it has also been successful itself. So we'll be going into that in detail. So more of the garden area itself. That's a kind of a handmade trellis. It actually was a fencing that one of our tenants had used to keep her dog in a particular area, and she was not using it any longer, so we claimed it. So again, you can see some areas that, in need of some bad weeding down in this area, which is what I'll be doing this week. And here again is a preview of what I think will be our next attempt at the next stage of our biochar experiment to produce some more of that as well. Rasco is in front of one other area. This is, as you can see, has a lot of cardboard. We're reclaiming this area earlier this year that was just a mass of briars and rosehip and things that you just couldn't even get down to the creek. And yes, we do have a small creek. We'll be learning more about how to utilize our that water resource itself. But right now, we're in the process of reclaiming this area. We're not quite sure what we're going to put in the area yet, but hopefully it'll be something that will be supplementary to our food forest and our more natural way of bringing in some more native plants as well. Okay, now Rascal, where should we go to next? Oh, okay, we'll do that. One other quick area that we're using cardboard. You can see that we have a ton of hostas here, and we had a whole bunch of hostas there previously, and we removed them a couple of days ago. Why? Because this is one of our native plants, rhododendron. If you look at it, it is not very healthy, and it's my theory that it may not be healthy because the hostas have been sapping all of the nutrients out of it. So I'm trying to reclaim that. I've also put down some special natural product called KNF. We'll talk more about Korean nutritional farming as I learn more about that. But that's involved here to see if we can't bring this rhododendron back to health. Okay, hold on there, Rascal. Coming next way. Now, Rasco and I are in the food forest area itself. To take you again, those are some apple trees that we've planted this year that are coming along. And these are along this road here are some new blueberry bushes that we have planted down in this area. And here we'll take just a moment to see a lot of what is growing in this area. Here's the creeping Charlie that we were very fortunate. This used to be pure lawn, and now it's mostly creeping Charlie. So we're in the process of trying to figure out how best to manage that. This is our peach tree, and I'm just noticing that the beautiful peach that we had that I was getting ready to claim, somebody else claimed it. Probably a deer is my guess itself. I'm not sure what, but it's gone. Okay, and this is a beginning of a goji berry bush itself. All of this has been planted this year for the most part. This is a Bartlett pear, also not native, but we will probably keep it there. And then over in this section here, we have planted a mulberry tree, which we're really looking forward to this. And part of the reason we planted here is this old fella here, which has been here over 30 years, because I've been here 30 years. And as you can see, it's not real healthy. In fact, it's kind of got a hollow center. And while we love the tree for its character, we figure it's probably not destined to make it too many more storms itself. These are some elderberry bushes. This one's doing pretty well. This one's doing not so well, but we still have hope for it. And then over here in this area is some thornless blackberries. And those are just been planted this year as well. Seem to be doing pretty well so far. And then we'll take one last look in just a moment at the last area that's been really the berries that have been here the longest. And this is the area that was kind of the original part of this. And we're past prime now, but these are all wine berries that were here when we moved here, like I said, over 30 years ago. And we've loved them and nurtured them, ignored them some years, but they've continued to do well. We're about a month past prime now. This is a neighboring, what am I trying to say, local, we believe one of the naturally occurring grapes. We're trying to see if we can nurture it to actually produce grapes. So far it has not, but that's why it's on the trellis and all that. So the wine berries have been great. We had a pretty fair year this year. What we do is we eat them as much as we can, and then we freeze them, and so we can enjoy them throughout the year as well. So that's our wine berries. A couple of last things here. This is I believe they're called ground cherries, yes. And this started as a just almost minuscule, couldn't even see, a couple of plants that one of our friendly community members gave to us, and it's really doing well. It's in a pot primarily because it can really take over an area, and we don't want it to take over it. I also wanted to point out this is our kind of our herb garden. It does have some vegetables in it as well. You see what's on the trellis there, cucumbers. We're hoping we'll get some more cucumbers before the season's over. You can see the basil and rosemary and a few flowers. You may notice that we don't have an abundance of flowers yet. That will change certainly by next season. This time we'll interested and intent on bringing more beautiful flowers here. They're not only beautiful, but will attract more pollinators as well. Okay, so I'm going to sit here in this thing and just enjoy the view of our gardens and food forests in our loving homestead. This is yours truly, Brad Swift, and my favorite canine companion, who doesn't really like being photographed, evidently, Rascal anyway. So if you have questions, comments, like positive comments, like, yeah, keep at it even though you don't know what you're doing, because in many ways it is very much of a learning experience itself. We're thoroughly enjoying it. We do feel like we are making a difference as we strive to live a life consistent with the four great truths. You can find out more about those in the One Cause Substack articles itself. I look forward to hearing more from you if you have questions or comments itself. So until then, take care.